Hi, everybody. Well, a cruise line just canceled 2 stops. And they're doing it because of a protest that's being held during that week. And the businesses in that area are starting to say they want compensation from the protesters because they're losing money because the cruise ship's not going there. But the protesters are saying, hey, we're not protesting the cruise ships, so don't blame us. So who's right? So the luxury cruise line Viking Ocean has canceled 2 cruises into Newcastle. And this is under an abundance of caution because they say there's a big protest being done that week by Rising Tide, an activist group that their mission is to end coal out of that harbor. It's a big coal shipping harbor. And so they're going to be protesting the coal ships that day. They're going to probably go out in the kayaks, etc. They're expecting possibly thousands of people here those days to protest the coal, etc. Except the cruise lines are going, well, you know what? We don't think this would be a very good thing for our clients to see. Perhaps our clients will think the protesters are there for them. They might be concerned about their safety, etc. They say they're there for coal, but does that mean that they won't go after the cruise ships while we're coming into port, etc.? And the activists are saying from Rising Tide, look, we have no intention of blocking the cruise ships. We're there to block coal, and that's it. Rest assured, trust us, we're not going to affect the cruise ships. So the cruise line went to the Port Authority and they said, can you guarantee us that we'll have, clear passage and safe passage in the channel to dock our ships, etc.? And the Port Authority said, no, we can't guarantee that. For all we know, there could be kayaks that head out into the channel because guess what? They've done it in the past. That's right. Last year, they promised the mayor of Newcastle that if they were able to use the Crown land for the protest, they said they will not enter the channel. Well, guess what? They entered the channel anyway. And so it did interrupt shipping. So here's the problem with giving assurances to everybody that, oh, we're not here for the cruise ships. We're only here for the coal. Don't worry, we're not. Is because once you break your word is worthless. Once you promise something and you go back on that promise, your promises are worthless. And right now, as far as Newcastle is concerned and Rising Tide, their promise not to interfere with the cruise ships is worthless because they broke their promise in the past. You see where I'm going with that? They may have every intention of holding this and saying, no, we're definitely not going to do that. But that doesn't mean out of the thousands of people who might be there, that 5 or 6 might stray and head out and do this because they're against the cruise ships. You know what I mean? So yes, they say they can't. But the twist in all this is now that the Chamber of Commerce and various business people are starting to say, hey, are you guys now going to compensate us for the lost business? Because of your protest, and your protest on the water, we're losing that business. And by the way, the 2 cruises being canceled will usually generate approximately $800,000 in Newcastle for the small businesses, the restaurants, the antique shops, etc., the coffee shops, not to mention those who are spending more money at jewelry stores, etc. This is just the small business ones that are going to lose about $800,000. And some business owners are absolutely furious. And there's even talk of taking a class action suit against the Rising Tide protesting organizers. That would be an interesting thing to do, to finally start to, if you're going to interrupt businesses and cost people money who make their living at stuff, should you not be held accountable? Should you not, it's one thing to protest, it's another to interfere with the businesses, right? That's a completely different thing. You're free to protest all you want, but that doesn't mean you can stop other people from entering the business, right? From doing business if they want to. It's like lining up in front, say for, I don't know, a Dunkin' Donuts. For some reason you hate Dunkin' Donuts. And you decide, okay, well, we're going to bring 50 people and we're all going to stand in front of the doors and hold hands in front of the doors of Dunkin' Donuts and protest. Well, now you're blocking the business, right? You're protesting, you're allowed to do that, but you're interfering with their business for your protest, and you should be held accountable. I kind of would like to see where this goes, even though, like, Rising Tide has, oh, don't worry, we will not interfere. We're not even interfering. We're after the coal. Our mission statement says nothing about cruise ships. Our mission statement is to end the coal in the cruise port and the shipping of the coal. So the cruise lines have nothing to worry about, except, as I said before, that one little nagging problem is that they promised that before, and then they broke their word and did it anyway.